What's up, Chop On Nation? Do you really think you can relax now that the World Series is over and Walt Weiss has been introduced as the new manager? You call this an off-season? If you don't know what's coming this month, you are not a real baseball fan. It's time to wake up. The calendar has reached the final month of 2025, and this, my friends, is no holiday month. December is the peak of the MLB offseason, and the next few days will be crucial, defining both the immediate future of our roster and the eternal glory of an icon. Prepare for 4 days that could change everything. Between December 7th and 10th, the Orlando Winter Meetings will be the stage. That's where Alex Anthopoulos, our GM, the Houdini of free agency, has to make some magic happen. The stage will be set for the big splash, or, at the very least, the foundation of a new dynasty. But even before the first major contract is signed, a historical and emotional bombshell is about to drop. On the 7th, the attention of every fan turns to Cooperstown. I'm talking about that guy, the legend who should have had his bust there years ago, Dale Murphy. Murphy is once again on the Eras Committee ballot, and the Murphy to the Hall campaign has gained absurd momentum, with support from politicians and big names. At 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, the destiny of our legend will be sealed. Will the legacy finally be cemented? And it doesn't stop there. We need new blood, and our 2025 season was down, putting us in a strange position. On the 9th, the 2026 draft lottery could give us a gift. Our chances of getting the first overall pick are low, for 0.54%, only the 6th best odds. But we have a chance to move up the draft board, and a top 5 pick could greatly strengthen our future. History proves we are masters at developing talent. Imagine what we would do with a higher pick. And to close out this insane week, on the 10th, the Rule 5 draft. Will we add talent? Will we lose pieces? The team's number 11 prospect, right-handed pitcher Blake Burkhalter, is unprotected, and a team desperate for an arm might try to take him. What will AA do to ensure we return to hoisting the division trophy, as our last 6 years of history dictate? Chop on. Pay attention, because the race for the 2026 title starts now. The month of December has arrived, and with it, the most urgent and decisive part of this MLB offseason. The Atlanta Braves, the franchise whose goal is not just to win, but to dominate the National League East Division, cannot take their foot off the gas. With the arrival of Walt Weiss as our new skipper, the table is set. But it is in December that General Manager Alex Anthopoulos needs to finalize the feast to ensure that the Chop On is the loudest cheer in 2026. The calendar is tight, and every date is worth its weight in gold. From December 7th to 10th, the baseball world's attention will be focused entirely on the winter meetings in Orlando. This is where, folks, the conversation gets serious. If the Braves are going to make an impact move, one of those signings that makes the offense even more fearsome, or that bulletproofs our rotation, the probability is extremely high that this will unfold, or, at the very least, be initiated during those 4 days. This is a time for Anthopoulos, the master of silent negotiations, to prepare the stage to add the missing piece for us to become champions again. But the 7th is not just about transactions that impact the current roster. It's about history. It's about legend. On the same night, we will be gifted or not, with a confirmation of the immortality of one of the greatest icons in franchise history, Dale Murphy. The results of the Hall of Fame Eras Committee will be announced, and the heart of the Braves nation will be tight, hoping that our hero finally makes his way to Cooperstown. Murphy, a 2-time MVP and multiple Gold Glove icon, is once again on the ballot, and the pressure for his induction has never been stronger, driven by a dedicated campaign. Murphy to the Hall, launched in October and supported by big names. The Contemporary Baseball Era Committee players requires Murphy to receive at least 12 of the 16 possible votes to be elected to the Hall of Fame. The results will be released on a special MLB Network program at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Justice must be done, and this wait has been too agonizing for a player of his caliber. Moving past the emotion of history, attention needs to turn to the future of our farm system. On December 9th, we will have the 2026 draft lottery. Yes, the Braves had a 2025 year that put them in this drawing, and that's what happens when expected victory doesn't arrive. However, this event, which seemed distant, now has a direct impact. Our chances of securing the first overall pick are technically low, fixed at 4.54%, which gives us the sixth best probability. However, the lottery draw will determine the order of the first 6 draft picks, and a significant climb to a top 5 pick will be a valuable talent injection for our development system. If the management, which has a proven history of finding and developing talent in later rounds, gets their hands on a top prospect, our future will be more secure than ever. And to close out the winter meetings week, on December 10th, we have the dreaded and fascinating Rule 5 draft. This is a moment of high risk and high reward, where the Braves can try to add eligible players who are left unprotected on other teams' 40-man rosters, or, conversely, lose one of their own prospects. The Rule 5 draft requires the selected player to remain on the selecting team's 26-man active roster for the entire subsequent season, without being sent to the minor leagues, or else be offered back to the original team. This is why the 2 players we added last year ended up being returned to their original teams before the end of spring training. They couldn't stick on the main roster. This year, we have 4 eligible unprotected athletes. The name most talked about and causing the most concern is the franchise's number 11 prospect, right-handed pitcher Blake Burkhalter. While he is considered safe, a team desperate for a young, cheap arm or one that sees him as a high-potential bullpen project might be inclined to risk taking him. Teams with more open roster spots may be more inclined to select a promising pitcher like Burkhalter. It's a high-risk gamble for the team that takes him, but it's a risk we need to avoid materializing, as pitching talent is never too much, especially coming from our own pipeline. December is not just a holiday season. It's the season of urgent decisions that will shape our relentless pursuit of another division title and, of course, the World Series trophy. Stay tuned, the action is just beginning. The chop on remains strong. We were dominant in the NL East, winning the division 6 times in a row, and it is with this mentality that we face the 2026 offseason. The chop on never stops beating, and now, in December, every date becomes crucial to ensure we return to the top, accepting nothing less than the undeniable leadership of the East Division. The general manager, Alex Anthopoulos, has a history of bold moves, and that is exactly what we expect to see in the coming weeks, starting with the famous winter meetings. From December 7th to 10th, MLB gathers in Orlando for the winter meetings, the boiling point of the offseason. It is during this 4-day period that the pieces fit together, major trades are finalized, and the stage is set for the big splashes that can define the next season. If our GM Anthopoulos has a card up his sleeve, an impact trade to strengthen the pitching staff or add more firepower to our already fearsome offense, there is a huge probability that this will be initiated or finalized during this event. It is the moment of maximum pressure, where the urgency of victory must translate into high-caliber signing for the Braves. But the excitement starts earlier on December 7th, with the announcement of the Hall of Fame Eras Committee results. Focus on the legend Dale Murphy. The Murphy to Hall campaign is in full swing, with support from politicians and big names, and this is Murphy's chance to finally receive his deserved place in Cooperstown. Murph was an icon, a 2-time MVP, 5-time Gold Glover, and 4-time Silver Slugger, spending most of his career in Atlanta. The Eras Committee, which evaluates players who were overlooked by the traditional BBWA vote, represents the best opportunity for his legacy to be immortalized, with the result being broadcast live on MLB Network. Our legend deserves this recognition. Jumping to December 9th, the focus shifts to the future with the 2026 Draft Lottery, an event that, unfortunately, gained relevance due to our subpar 2025 season. Our chances of securing the first overall pick are modest, fixed at 4.54%, which gives us the sixth best probability. Although that percentage is low, the possibility of moving up in the draft is real. Having a top 5 pick will be a tremendous boost to the organization, as adding an elite prospect to our player development system can be the differential for the future. This franchise has a remarkable history of honing talents who arrive later in the draft, so applying that same development capacity to a higher pick is something that will certainly benefit the team's long-term strength. And closing out the week of intense activity, on December 10th, we have the always risky Major League Rule 5 draft. This is the final stage of the winter meetings where teams can add or lose talent. The rule is clear. Players selected in the Major League Rule 5 draft must remain on the 26-man active roster for the entire following season, or be offered back to their original organization upon payment of a fee. Last year, we tried our luck by adding 2 players through this draft, but both were returned before the end of spring training, showing the difficulty of keeping these athletes on the main roster. We may try again, looking for a player who can surprise and stick in the league. On the defensive side of our franchise, we left 4 eligible players unprotected by the Rule 5 deadline. The main candidate to be stolen is our number 11 prospect, right-hander Blake Burkhalter. He is an arm of potential, but in theory, he should be safe, as any team that selects him would have to keep him on the 26-man roster all season, which is a risk for a pitcher who is not yet fully ready. However, a team desperate for a young arm might try their luck with Burkhalter. The risk of losing him is the price we pay for trying to maximize a 40-man roster. These are crucial dates, impacting the present and the future, and demanding the full attention of the Braves nation. Our expectation is that Anthopoulos will use this period to make moves that restore our absolute dominance of the NL East. This is what it means to be the Atlanta Braves. We are not here to play games. We are here to nail another division title to our historical resume, which already features an insane record of 14 straight and the recent mark of 6 in a row. The offense is a steamroller, and the defense is a wall, which gives us the certainty that the World Series is the only possible destination for this elite roster. The chop-on is stronger than ever. Thanks, Braves Nation. If you share the certainty of this imminent victory, now is the time to show your strength. Subscribe to the channel right now. Hit that bell so you don't miss any hot analysis, and drop your chop-on in the comments. What is your guess of the number of wins we will achieve this year? Join the conversation and #GoBraves.